in the fleet around the world. Today's mission takes you to a field of dreams. The challenge of mighty Notre Dame is waiting.
For the 99th consecutive time, Notre Dame Stadium sold out, 59,000 plus, to see the midshipmen of Navy. They're without a win this year, 0-7 against the 5th-ranked team in the country, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. And Navy, seeking that impossible dream, plays on a day as cold and cruel as their season. Here are the numbers from the meteorologists. Temperature 27 degrees at kickoff. Wind chill a -4 because of those winds that gusting up to 36 miles an hour. Possible snow flurries ahead. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Notre Dame Saturday. And what a Breeders' Cup day it was. And now for the classic confrontation, because this is the longest continuous intersectional rivalry in college football in the United States. It started back in 1927, and for 65 straight years, Navy and Notre Dame have played. The Navy luck has not been good. They haven't won since 1963 in the Staubach era, and they meet a Notre Dame team of Lou Holtz for the 5th consecutive year as they go into this game and the final third of their season. They are once again in contention for a possible dream of their own, another national championship. Well, Bill Walsh can put himself in the shoes of George Champ, the Navy coach. The intrigue, the challenge of head coaching is to try to win when you're a 40-point underdog.
Well, Navy won't fall short in sacrifice and determination and courage and the will to win. They won't fall short in that area, but they're going to have to out-hit Notre Dame. They're going to have to be there before the Notre Dame people are on every play, because they don't have the size and they don't have the depth, Dick, so it's going to take a perfect precision game on the part of Navy.
Well, the innovative Champ, who was an assistant coach with Lou Holtz at Ohio State in the late 60s, came out with a wishbone, and he surprised Notre Dame last year. How about today?
Well, we might see the wishbone. I'm sure we'll see something, some innovation to try to throw Notre Dame off guard, but the kinds of plays they'll use may only work one time, so sooner or later it's going to be one player against another, and I'm concerned about the depth of Navy at this point.
Notre Dame will receive. There is George Champ, and he says that his team, though it's 0-7, has improved every week. You learn that adversity strengthens, not weakens a team, and here come the Irish of Notre Dame. Lou Holtz's team 7-1. Holtz could have played on those lightweight teams of Navy. They have a team of 150-pounders and under. Everyone bundled up to meet the cold, as we have seen in 2 months' time here at Notre Dame. Summer go to autumn and autumn to winter in less than 2 months. Can it only be 2 months since Notre Dame opened against Indiana? And this crowd certainly not discouraged. Notre Dame 7-1. And as they receive the ball, all the positive statistics belong to Notre Dame, the negative to Navy at this juncture of the season. But Notre Dame's 105th in the nation out of 106 schools. And kickoff returns, surprisingly, they sure miss Rocket. We don't miss John Dockery, because he's right down there on the sidelines.
Thank you, Dick. You know, I was just in the locker room with the Navy team, and their coach talked about pride and an opportunity, as you were talking about, that not often does an 0-7 team come into a situation like this and have a chance to knock off the number 5 team in the country. He talked about pride in the Navy, pride in what you do. He talked about hitting. He talked about fumbling, the weather. This is Navy weather. He said he could make things happen, cause them to fumble, but above all, just hang in there and play your game and not be intimidated by the circumstances, by the stadium. Okay, Dick, back to you.
All right, John, and Navy has indeed been in every game. They're at halftime, and they've just faded and been self-destructive in the second half. To kick off for the midshipman, Matt Tate, and he has the advantage of some wind, the wind at the back right to left, and watching the kickers in their warm-ups, it's going to be disastrous going left to right for the punters. You're really going to have a leg to get through the gusts that are up to 40 miles an hour at times. Day growing colder, of course, with a later start, and we're underway. Good kick. Comes down to Reggie Brooks. Brooks across the 25 to the 27-yard line. And the Notre Dame Fighting Irish come on the field with quarterback Rick Mirer, currently 5th in the nation in passing. His running backs, big Jerome Bettis, 4th in the nation in scoring, and senior Tony Brooks. The wideouts are Tony Smith, leads the team with 20 catches, and Lake Dawson at flanker. Remember that spectacular grab last week, and All-America candidate Derek Brown at tight end. From the 27, it's Rodney Culver who starts at tailback, not Brooks, and Culver gains 3. Bob Kuberski from Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, the defensive tackle, with a stop. The rest of the offensive setup for Notre Dame features Gene McGuire at center. The guards for the Irish are Mirko Jurkovic and Aaron Taylor. An injury, Justin Hall is out with a broken toe, so Todd Norman starts at one tackle, and it's Lindsey Knapp at the other. 2nd and a short 7. Jerome Bettis, a gain of 4 to the 34 to bring up 3rd and about 3 for the Irish. David Shaw, sophomore from Bridgewater, Massachusetts. Number 62 makes the tackle. There's one of the co-captains, Byron Ogden, 55. Here is the Irish defense. The middle guard is the Navy defense, Stan Pigeon at middle guard. It's Bob Kuberski, perhaps their best, and Robert Goodson, the defensive tackles. And the linebackers outside, Byron Ogden and Mark Ellis. Ellis, 198-pounder. The give is to Culver, and he slams for a first down across the 40-yard line. The rest of the defense for the midshipmen. It is Chris Beck and David Shaw inside. The defensive backfield, 5'7" Rodney Purifoy and Chris Hart at the corners. And the safeties feature the leading tackler, number 26 Chad Chapless and Mark McGinnis. Bettis, the lone running back on first down at the Notre Dame 41. Bettis to the 45-yard line. Mark Ellis, a strong safety playing linebacker. He's from Wakefield, Virginia. Number 40.
At this point, Dick, Navy is really playing their plan. They've got a good formula to stop Notre Dame with the resources they have. And at this point, a guy like David Shaw, he's been on 3 straight tackles. Physical, he's only 235 pounds, but he's gone right in there and met the blocker and then the tackler 3 times. Ball carrier and the blocker 3 times.
2nd down and long 5. Tony Brooks gets his first call, and he's met by Chris Beck, number 47, a junior from Palatine, Illinois.
And what they're trying to do is protect Beck, protect Shaw, so that linemen can't get out on them right away. And both these guys are expected to go in one-on-one and tackle the likes of Bettis. And thus far, pretty darn good job. You'd have to give them credit. They're standing up as well as anybody that Notre Dame's played early in the contest.
3rd down and 3 for the Irish. A long 3. Fake to Bettis, the toss to Brooks, and he's brought down short of the first down. And Navy has held as Bob Kuberski, number 90, the junior from Swarthmore, Pennsylvania. Grew up 2 minutes from the campus there at Swarthmore.
Navy is playing Notre Dame's tendencies. Notre Dame does certain things specifically out of certain formations, and they just played for that option that time and did a beautiful job of it. So they're just going to play for Notre Dame's strengths, and if Notre Dame has something that'll fool them, Navy will take their chances.
Navy's already done something they couldn't last year, and that's forcing Craig Hentrich to punt. He went without a punt the entire game last year. Into the win, a good kick. B.J. Mason, the co-captain and senior, with a fair catch at about the 13 of the midshipmen. So Navy, on a day of upsets in thoroughbred racing, looking for one of their own.
Notre Dame football is brought to you by Chevrolet, the heartbeat of America, the cars more people depend on. By UPS, now offering 10:30 a.m. guaranteed overnight air delivery. By Nuprin, Nupid with Nuprin, the body pain medicine. And by Norelco patented lift and cut shavers. We make close comfortable.
Welcome back to Notre Dame. Navy has held Notre Dame on the Irish first possession. 11:31 left in the opening quarter, and Jason Van Meter, a sophomore for Pensacola, comes out in a double wing and brings Vinnie Smith in motion, and on the option, Van Meter carries, and he's to the 19-yard line.
Well, there it is, Dick. They came out in the wishbone, shifted up in the double wing, ran a man in motion, and then Van Meter came right out in the option play. So Navy hasn't shown this all year. They had just a short time to practice it, but they're darn bright guys, and certainly they concentrate. They're coming out with a new offense at this point.
That's a startling graphic that Navy, and it's a testimony to George Champ's readiness of his team, that they've scored the first touchdown every game this year, and yet they're 0-7.
This is an unbalanced line.
Well, Navy jumps the gun. As from the right side, number 59, Max Lane, charged offside.
Well, Max Lane is the left tackle. He was lined up on the right side that time.
So they're going with an unbalanced line, perhaps, with that double wing.
We have an unbalanced line. Now you notice both tackles are on this side, just the tight end on this side, and there's a split end outside our screen. So the strength is to wide field, and there, of course, you see the move by Lane, who's playing on the opposite side as normal. Again, the unbalanced line, the wishbone shifting into a double wing formation.
Van Meter again running the show. Demetrius DeBose has his 101st tackle of the year, the Irish leader. Let's take a look at this Navy team on offense. Van Meter, the quarterback, 5'10" and 184. His running backs are Brad Stramanak from Johnstown, Pennsylvania, Vinnie Smith, Durham, North Carolina. Tom Pritchard is a plebe, first freshman starter since World War II, and co-captain B.J. Mason at flanker. And Kevin Hickman, another plebe, starts at tight end. Very young Navy team.
They're shifting again. Man in motion again.
Third and long. Van Meter has some room, but unable to pick up the first down as he's hit at the 22. A yard shy of a first down. DeBose traversing the field to make the hit.
And Willie Clark came roaring in from the outside and barely missed Van Meter, or it would have been all over. But that's very good football. They've got improved their field position some, close to a first down, and this option is giving Notre Dame trouble.
Well, they gave Navy a good spot, and we'll have an official measurement.
Well, they need a good spot, and they'll need one all day. It's going to take these kinds of break where they place the ball that'll keep Navy in the game.
And it won't be enough. Boy. So half the length of the football for 55-year-old George Champ. He hasn't sent the punting team in yet.
Well, he knows his punting, as you know, Dick, has not been very good.
In fact, averaging on the year only 34 yards a punt, and he has to kick with the wind here. And on comes Tom Frosch, who is not a Frosch. He's a senior mechanical engineering major from Mount Clemens, Michigan.
Well, thus far, Navy's been lively. They've been moving, and that's what it's going to take. They're going to have to hit the Notre Dame people just inches before they're ready for it. And it's going to take that all day. Just be quicker and move more distinctly.
Back is Jeff Burris at the Irish 41. Wobbly boot, fairly good. Burris lets it bounce. And it'll die just inside the 35 of Notre Dame. A 44-yard punt for Frosch with the wind. And with it a timeout, Bill. 9:24 remaining, scoreless in the first. Welcome back. Rodney Culver on first down for Notre Dame. Runs into a pair of midshipmen. Byron Ogden was there first. Let's go down to John Dockery.
Yeah, Dick, you know, weather conditions will play a factor in this game. The winds are gusting up to 30, 35 miles an hour. Wind chill below zero. Very chilly down here. Fumbling was a concern. When George Champ talked to his team, he said, be sure to hit. If we can make them fumble and cough up that ball, get some turnovers, we'll have a shot in this game. Back to you.
All right, Doc, and Notre Dame going into the wind. Irish have yet to throw a pass. Mirer will gun it for the first time. Blocked! on the line of scrimmage by Bob Kuberski, one of the biggest of the Academy stars, 6'5" and 283, a junior.
You know, the coaching really shows up early in the game because this is where the plan is. Now, Lou Holtz is excellent. You see the block ball. Lou Holtz is excellent at adjusting, but at this point in the game, Navy has a game plan that's solid, sound, and they've researched this, and they know just what they're doing. They've stopped the basic plays very well thus far.
Play action for Mirer. Throws and completes. Tony Smith, a first down at the Notre Dame 48. Smith's 21st catch is worth 13 yards.
It's just going to be a play fake inside, then a hooking pattern, and this is the kind of thing that'll hurt the plan. They fake the run, and then nice job by Rick Mirer coming underneath and then just drilling that hooking pattern into Smith. Now, those are the kinds of things that sort of wreck the plan by Navy, because Navy's looking to stop the run.
Toss to Tony Brooks, and the senior from Tulsa, Oklahoma is into Navy territory to the 47-yard line behind the block of Jerome Bettis. Chris Beck in on another hit for Navy.
Now, Beck came right down the line. He didn't hesitate. He put his hat in there, and he did the job. Both Beck and Shaw thus far are playing excellent games. Excellent. And Beck is 206 pounds. He's smaller than any Notre Dame back. He's a linebacker.
Washington and Michigan on a course. California leading Southern California. Northwestern with an upset today. We'll get to that score. Brooks on second down. Tripped up as he hits the 43-yard line. That'll be a yard plus short of a first down.
Well, Navy's loading up inside, and neither safety that time for Navy got close to the play, and they're going to have to, because both Notre Dame backs, Brooks, Beck, Bettis, Culver, these guys are going to break tackles early, so the safeties for Navy have to show up a little bit quicker if they're going to stop the ground game.
You saw Tennessee, Notre Dame's opponent here next Saturday, a winner over Memphis State. Brooks, first down and more, and finally caught from behind by Dan Pigeon at the 35-yard line of Navy.
Well, Lou Holtz spoke all week of making progress in this game. This isn't the last game of the year, obviously. You have Tennessee, Penn State coming up, a bowl game. So it's important Notre Dame not only play Navy, but improve this week. Get a lot of work done to improve fundamentals and skills. And it's going to take this kind of game to beat Navy today, because Navy's plan is very good.
Rodney Culver in a tailback. He gets the call. Number 5, Culver from Detroit, Michigan, for about 8 yards before Ogden could trip him up along with Chad Chatlis.
Again, the safeties, Chatlis has got to be there a little bit quicker. No question about it. Both those safeties are going to have to get into that line quicker, or Notre Dame will get the 8 and 10-yard game instead of the 4 and 5-yard game.
You've gone through the top 25 scores. Northwestern has beaten Michigan State. So the Wildcats back-to-back wins in the Big Ten, Illinois and Michigan State. On second and short, it's Jerome Bettis plowing to the 25. That'll be good enough for a first down. Snyder and Kuberski and company in on the tackle. And Pigeon as well, and it appears that Dan Pigeon injured on the play.
Well, they can't afford those kind of things because the depth just isn't there on the Annapolis squad. Just isn't there.
So while they attended to the wounded midshipmen, we'll take a break with 6:15 left in the opening quarter. Welcome back. Looking at the left knee of Dan Pigeon. He's been replaced by number 99, Steve Sterlitz, a senior from Redford, Michigan. On first down, nothing there for the Irish as Jerome Bettis picks up just a yard.
Just a great job inside by Navy. Ellis that time at 203 pounds came right up inside and made the stick. Just a beautiful job. You'll see the Navy line slant down and people come down underneath it, and once again back in that case Ellis comes in late. Just a beautiful job. They're just going to have to strike blows, Dick. They just can't absorb, and they're not absorbing yet, at least at this point in the game.
On second and 9, it's Mirer to throw, looking long. Caught by Smith, and he's out of bounds at the 3. The senior from Gary, Indiana, 21 yards on the play.
Purifoy was right there for Navy. He went for the ball, but at 5'7", he couldn't make the play. Now you see Smith go inside. Now Purifoy's playing safety man. You see, just doesn't have that height and range to make the play. Smith at 6'2+, Purifoy at 5'7". So you can see the difference.
Full house backfield. Culver, Bettis, and Brooks. It's Jerome Bettis, and he stopped at the 2. Now the Irish inside the 20 have been phenomenally successful this year. 35 trips inside the 20. 30 of the 35 times they've scored touchdowns, twice kicked field goals. They've been stopped only 3 times.
Well, they add a guy like Irv Smith at the other tight end. They put in a guy like Reggie Brooks at the other running back, or Culver, and they've got power with Bettis, that big offensive line. They're tough to stop.
Mahalko is now in there for Brooks. And it's Mirer throwing wide open. Derek Brown, his 4th touchdown of the year.
Well, it was a play pass to the left. That surprised me. It might have surprised you, Dick. But Rick Mirer faked left for that T formation. Then Brown hit and came out late. Nobody near him. And of course, Navy is selling out with everybody to stop Bettis.
Hentrich's try for point is good, 7-0, and Rick Mirer with this pass is just 1 touchdown away from tying the Notre Dame season record for touchdowns. That's his 15th of the year. Derek Brown with his 4th touchdown catch. The Irish lead 7-0.
It isn't necessary to see a good tackle. You can hear it. From what I see here this afternoon, I think we're going to have a pretty good team.
The athletic department of the University of Notre Dame is proud to present its exclusive collection of sportswear and gift items, clothing and accessories of the highest quality that reflect Notre Dame's tradition of excellence. Call 1-800-345-5027 to receive a free catalog.
The Houston Oilers. They're running, shooting with a passing attack that's second to none. The Washington Redskins, the NFL's only unbeaten team, has scored more points than anyone in 91. It's the most eagerly anticipated encounter of the season. 2 Super Bowl contenders rattle the nation's capital Sunday.
Bundled up in South Bend as night is approaching. The temperature continues to plummet into the mid-20s, and Notre Dame has scored with 4:37 left in this first quarter. Hentrich to Cleavon Smith. And Smith running up the back of his blockers, gets across the 30 and out to the 35-yard line before Huntley Bakich can make the tackle. Number 1, Bakich.
You know, Dick, as a coach, a former coach, thus far, Navy's played a beautiful game. It took Notre Dame 11 minutes to score a touchdown. Navy played solid ball. It took a couple of excellent individual plays to win it related to the touchdown for Notre Dame. So as a coach, I give a real nod of approval to George Chomp and his staff.
Now that wishbone, Van Meter at the controls. Caught in the backfield, breaks a tackle, reverses his field, has running room. This little guy is feisty, and he has a first down for Navy at the 45-yard line before Jermaine Holden can make the first hit. Let's introduce that Notre Dame defense to you. Inside, it's Troy Ridgely and Junior Bryant. Devon McDonald and Jermaine Holden, the defensive ends. Pete Bursich back after last week at the middle linebacker position. We'll give you the rest in a moment as Navy breaks huddle with the first down at their own 45. Smith into Notre Dame territory to the 49. Rod Smith trips him up.
We just saw an excellent off-tackle play with a fine job by Michael Davis pulling up through the line of scrimmage.
Demetrius DeBose leading the Irish in tackles. John Covington, the defensive back, playing a drop end. Tom Carter, boy, he's a terrific player and doesn't get a lot of publicity. Jeff Burris at the corners, and the safeties, former running back Willie Clark and former cornerback Rod Smith. By the way, Greg Davis, knee injury against Stanford. They think he might be back next week against Tennessee. on the option. Van Meter runs it well. He's at the 40. Hit from behind by DeBose. Fumbles, but the ball was down. It'll be a first down. Navy at the 33 of Notre Dame.
Van Meter did a beautiful job about 5 yards up the field by nodding and taking the concentration off of him. Now you'll see him coming up the field. Now look at him, look, nod, and go. And that's a beautiful job on Burris. Burris is a fine player, and Van Meter weighed 179 pounds this last week when he weighed in. 179, and with that aggressiveness and assertiveness as a player, he's only a sophomore. He's got a future.
And he's been the key and has led Navy in rushing this year. Came into the game with 384 yards. The double wing again with Vinnie Smith in motion. Give it to the fullback, Stramanak. And the sophomore from Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Good yardage on first down before Pete Bursich can make the stop.
Carl Voss, number 65, did a fine job of offensive blocking inside and on Bryant. So thus far, until the substitutions and the wear and tear starts showing up, Navy's at least holding their own.
Well, Navy, even against Air Force, they were close at halftime, 7-6. They led Temple. They led Delaware their last two games. Couldn't hold it in the second half. Van Meter forced to call a timeout with 2:11 remaining in this opening quarter. And Van Meter, he was talking with him this week, Bill, talking about his father was an attorney in Pensacola, Florida, and a former high school player, said that he wanted to improve his passing. Obviously, Van Meter can run, but throwing is not his strength, and practicing his passing. His dad insisted that he run patterns for son Jason.
He quoted his dad as being 44 years of age and running pass patterns until Jason's arm got tired. So that's the intensity they have, and they want this guy to succeed. But Jason feels that playing on the panhandle of Florida in high school, he believes, and I have to agree in a sense, that's the best high school football maybe in the country. Very good high school football, and that in a sense prepared him for this kind of competition.
Yeah, he played against the likes of Emmett Smith and Derek Brooks in high schools. And he said in throwing passes to his dad, he's afraid he's going to have a heart attack. So he said, Dad, you don't have to do it. No, I'm going long this time. Jason Van Meter, no passes yet today. 7 runs. Let's take a look at our first Xerox Sports Facts question while we have a moment. Who are the 2 U.S. Naval Academy Heisman Trophy winners? Only 10 schools in the country have had more than one. Notre Dame leads with 7. 2 from the Naval Academy. We'll give you the answer in just a moment. Few of the brigade of midshipmen with us today. Drum and bugle corps. Second down and short. Again out of the double wing. The fullback, Stramanak, and he was met by freshman Jermaine Holden from Anderson, South Carolina, number 52.
Well, you've got to expect to the right, to the wide field, the option play to come out of there. That's the best thing that Navy has to offer now with about 2.5 yards to go. It's going to be very tough to think of getting it inside. So out Van Meter will come with the option, unless they have some kind of a special play. We saw them practice a reverse, the screen pass, things like that when we were over at Annapolis this past week.
Wishbone setup with B.J. Mason, the only wide receiver, and here comes Van Meter, and he dives, fumbles the ball, and let's see, it's right at the yardsticks, and Navy controls the ball, and it appears enough for a first down.
Well, there was the option to the wide field. You can almost predict it, but Navy's getting there very quickly. They're getting there before the defenders are quite there. You see Van Meter come out, fake to the fullback. Now he's just going to duck up inside and get his 2 yards. Again, 179 pounds.
That ball was free.
Was it out of there?
Oh, yes, way before he went down, but it rolled right back to Van Meter. And a first down at the Irish 22.
Well, those are the breaks they need, Dick.
With the win, but they have only 1 minute, 10 seconds left in the quarter. Vinnie Smith. And coming up was Brian Radigan, a junior from Council Bluffs, Iowa. He's getting a chance to play today. Justin Goheen has been in the infirmary here on campus this week. They suspect mononucleosis, so Radigan gets a shot.
Oh, that was a clean tackle, right from the inside out, right down the middle. And, of course, those fundamentals with Radigan as an example, having not played an awful lot, but the spring practice, all these things, coaching the fundamentals, and that's what paid off.
Well, if Navy's going to pass, they haven't yet. They should with the wind, and they're about to lose it. They take the reverse. Van Meter, and Radigan makes the initial hit with John Tolliver, a freshman from Riva, Maryland. DeMatha High School also in on the stop.
I believe that was a reverse stick. I believe the handoff wasn't there. So Van Meter used good judgment and just kept the ball himself and sort of confused the Irish because they thought they saw a reverse.
But they're going to lose the advantage of the wind as the final seconds tick away here to end the first quarter. A drive of 4.5 minutes thus far for Navy. They're in field goal range with a win. I'm not sure when they change ends for the second quarter, and the Irish lead it 7.
This Heisman Trophy moment is brought to you by AT&T, the right choice. As an all-around athlete, Notre Dame's Johnny Latner had few peers. Latner's outstanding versatility made him an All-American on both offense and defense. At Notre Dame, Latner played for Frank Leahy, who once told Latner to repent 5 mortal sins after Latner had fumbled 5 times against Purdue. After repenting, Latner went on to his Heisman Trophy moment. The Irish have come out fighting in '91, having won 6 straight. Next Saturday, they try to keep their national title hopes alive as they battle SEC powerhouse Tennessee. It's Holtz versus Majors, the Fighting Irish and the Volunteers. Notre Dame football, presented by Sears Craftsman.
Welcome back to South Bend, Indiana. Dick Enberg with Bill Walsh, John Dockery. A critical 3rd and 6 for Navy inside the Notre Dame 20-yard line. On 3rd down. The give is to Vinny Smith, who's hit out of bounds at the 19-yard line, shy of the first down. In fact, really a loss of a yard on the play. And into the wind. I don't believe George Chomp is going to bring on his field goal kicker.
I just don't believe, after watching the pregame, that he can make this. It's just a little too much for Tim Rogers to go for. I don't think he can get it done. That wind is blowing, and his record is not that great. He's 8 of 11 on PATs, but this wind is way too much to overcome, especially the angle.
Number 11, Duke Ingram. His dad was a defensive back at Navy in the 60s, Duncan Sr. He's part of the wishbone setup on 4th down and 7. And time is called. Navy uses its second timeout with 14:16 remaining in the first half.
Notre Dame football is brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the trucks you can depend on, the trucks that last. By Walmart, always the low price, always. By AT&T, the right choice. And by Head & Shoulders, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
On 4th and 7, George Chomp has made his call. Bill Walsh, what's your guess?
Well, after watching practice and after seeing them practice over and over a screen pass to the short side of the field, to their right, we might look for that. But they're 0-12. They haven't thrown the ball yet. This is going to have to be the first throw. And look for a screen pass to the right side with the lineman out in front of it.
From the 19-yard line. No, Van Meter surprises with a run, but I don't think he made it. He needed to get inside the Irish 13.
Gee, that was well done. That was a quarterback keeper. We didn't see that in practice. Maybe we weren't only there a day, but he had the interference in front of him, faked one way and came back with the ball.
Demetrius DeBose made another tackle, and they'll measure right at that 13-yard line. It's going to be very close. In come the chain gang. It'll either be first down, Navy continuing its drive, or Notre Dame takes over on downs. Irish ball by that much.
Well, it's Irish 7-0, but the nod goes to George Chomp in coaching thus far. Thus far, the nod to Chomp.
Let's answer our Xerox Sports Facts question. Did you name the 2 Naval Academy Heisman Trophy winners? I know all of you got one of them. He was in our pregame tease. Roger the Dodger Staubach in '63, and 3 years earlier, a dynamite runner, 180-pound Tiger Joe Polino rushed for 18 touchdowns for Navy and won the Heisman. Rick Mirer takes over for Notre Dame and gives to Rodney Culver, and Culver slashes out to about the 15-yard line. Actually stopped short of there. The 14's the call, as Chris Beck having a field day and Steve Sterlitz collaborate on the stop. Let's go down to John Dockery.
You know, Dick, it's interesting. George Chomp before the game was talking about what they had to stop in terms of Notre Dame offense. This might surprise you. He didn't talk about Jerome Bettis. He didn't talk about Rodney Culver. Lake Dawson are in the receivers. He said stop Rick Mirer on the option. All important for him.
On second and long, Mirer on a blitz, and down he goes at the 6-yard line.
Brian Ogden from the outside, Dick. Blitz. He's been playing strong safety. He's really a linebacker, but he wasn't touched. Rick Mirer didn't even see him. Beautiful job of defensive planning by Dick Biddle, the defensive coordinator. You see an excellent fake. Now Rick wants to throw, and there's the man right on top of him.
You said Ogden was flying in, and of course that's his goal, to be a Navy flyer. He follows in the footsteps of his dad, Frank, a retired Navy commander. Byron Ogden from Burke, Virginia. Of course, like many Navy kids, been all over the country. Spent some time in California, up in the Seattle area. From his own end zone, Mirer. Wide open downfield is Tony Smith. That's his third catch and a first down. Notre Dame at the 30.
Well, that's where the talent comes in. You've got Rick Mirer. You've got what's turning out to be a great receiver in Smith. Well executed. And Mark McGinnis, the safety man, just couldn't get there quickly enough. Very, very well executed. Very well.
His 23rd catch of the season is worth 23. 57 on the day for Tony Smith. That gets the Irish out of a hole on third and long. Mirer going to throw again. Looking for Smith. No, he throws it long for Lake Dawson. And Dawson takes it away from Navy. Dawson with 3 midshipmen around him. On this catch.
Well, there's the difference in athletic ability in a sense, because the Navy people are in pretty darn good shape at this point. Chris Hart is right there, but Chris is 5'8". He can't go up with Dawson. Dawson is 6'1" and 200 pounds. Beautiful job by Dawson, but there's Navy being basically outgunned.
Mirer on the option. Dragged down by Mark Ellis and company. Also in on the stop was David Shaw. So Lake Dawson had that spectacular, just a perpendicular catch last week of 50 yards and comes back with a jump ball 49-yarder today.
Well, that catch last week just builds on a guy's confidence. Lake Dawson makes that kind of a catch, and the next time the ball gets there, he feels he can get the next one. It just builds on the athlete.
2nd and 8. Delay to Tony Brooks, and he slips down at the 20-yard line. Short gain. It'll be 3rd and about 7.
Those big pass players are what just takes so much out of George Chomp, his staff, and the Navy squad, because everything else is going according to plan. And those kind of pass plays just devastate.
One of the questions we want to answer today from both the Navy and Notre Dame side, and get your opinion, Bill Walsh, as we progress, is should Navy continue to play Notre Dame? Is this such a mismatch in regard to 27 consecutive wins by Notre Dame that it should continue? The give is to Culver. Boy, is he hit as he gets to the 23 as Steve Sterlitz in for the injured Dan Pidgeon at middle guard. Makes a solid tackle.
Well, Steve took on, Sterlitz took on Gene McGuire, who could very well be the best offensive lineman at this point on the Notre Dame squad. And he comes right up underneath the whole thing. Just a great job. And once again, you see Chris Beck right on top of the pile.
It was 99 underneath Sterlitz who made the hit. So Craig Hentrich, who has tried only 4 field goals all year, this for 35 yards. And with the wind, it sails good. So Hentrich has his 3rd of the year, and the Irish lead is 10-0. 35 yards for Hentrich. Navy with the ball when we return. Most popular spot on campus today is not the Morris Inn. It's those sideline heaters getting plenty of attention. The Irish lead 10-0. 10:27 left in the first half. Hentrich's end-over-end kickoff comes down to fullback. Mike Kozit has trouble. And then is tackled at the 16-yard line. Notre Dame today, the NFL tomorrow, and what a game we have for you on NBC. It all starts at 12:30 with NFL Live, and then the 7-1 Houston Oilers, NFL's most productive passing team, go against the unbeaten Washington Redskins. Others of you will see New England, Buffalo. It's Cleveland, Cincinnati also early. And the 4 o'clock game, the Dolphins go against the winless Colts. So NFL tomorrow on NBC, and one of the top games of this building year, Houston at Washington.
You don't think, Dick, the weather will make a difference in Washington? That's going to be the key factor for Houston, the weather.
The give is to the fullback. And it's Brad Stramenak from Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Jeff Burris made the hit for Notre Dame.
A lot hangs in the balance on this Navy drive because they've, in a sense, spent themselves. They had a nice drive and failed to score earlier, but you're not sure they can keep doing it. So this drive's critical to keep the score under control and give themselves a chance in the second half. They have to consume time and get field position, even if they don't score. Again, the unbalanced line.
E.J. Mason, after strapping on that hand warmer for Stramenak, goes to the left. And then the give is inside to the fullback again, and Stramenak with a couple of yards to the 24. That'll be 2 or 3 from a first down. Brian Radigan getting some playing time today. The class president all 4 years of high school at Council Bluffs, Iowa, St. Albert High, made the tackle. There's your upset so far today. Northwestern over Michigan State. Illinois in trouble at halftime, rallies against the Badgers.
You talk to Dick, speaking of Radigan, is Lou Holtz high on Radigan? Does he like what he sees?
To the fullback again, and Stramenak 3 straight carries. He'll be close to a first down as Ridgely and Peterson make the stop.
Now that was an excellent call from the Navy sideline, giving the ball to the fullback up inside because you knew the option was coming, and instead they handed off to the fullback.
Joe Spencer, backup quarterback, number 17, a senior from Kansas City, sending in the signals. Vanderbilt beats Army 41-10, so Navy's day regardless is somewhat made. Still no passes by the midshipmen. Toss to Ingram. And Duke Ingram out close to the 35-yard line. A pickup of almost 7 before John Covington can make the stop.
That was excellent running, just knifing type of running, just pitching the ball and running a power sweep. Notre Dame being there, and Navy still getting a nice gain out of it.
Remember what Lou Holtz told us yesterday? He said, I know George Chomp is coaching with him. He loves to pass the ball, and here's Chomp. He's 8 minutes from halftime, hasn't thrown the ball yet.
Well, he's an innovative coach. He knows what it takes to win from the standpoint of what kind of talent he has. So he knows he's going with what he can do best.
Stramenak plowing to the 40. No, the toss is to Ingram. Good ball handling by Van Meter, and a first down at the 45. I thought the fullback had the ball.
Me too. I was right there with the fullback. I was thinking, gee, nice game by the fullback. And instead the ball had been pitched out.
10
this
yards.
Is very well done. Well fake. Look at the fake by Stramenak down underneath. And then the pitch is just at the right time. Just at the right time.
Willie Clark makes the tackle for the Irish.
And as I say, Dick, here we get it again. Look at the timing of the throw by Van Meter. But Navy's got field position now. It's really helping them stay in the ballgame, even if they have to punt it this time. They got their field position.
Flags down before the snap. There was movement. Troy Ridgely may have bunched into the Navy guard, and with it a 5-yard call. Let's see if he was drawn offside.
There's dead ball foul. Sides on the defense.
Referee Joe Ryder. It's an all Big East officiating crew today.
Notre Dame has been forced to play a number of freshmen. People like Goheen and Tolliver now is playing for the first time today. And they've got Young, any number of freshmen, in a sense, are being forced to play because of injuries. But this is a good game for them to get experience that'll pay off later in their careers at Notre Dame, but for this season.
1st and 5. It's Stramenak, and I'm going to make sure he has the ball now, and he gets a couple out to the 47. That's was on on 1st and 5, remember, after the penalty, and Brian Radigan, Junior Bryant, make the tackle.
Well, I'm trying to watch the blocking combinations and then identify quickly where the ball is. And Navy's confusing me because that time bench pulled and the ball was handed off the fullback. It just didn't make sense. And I think Notre Dame's being confused as much as I am.
DJ Mason to the bottom of your screen. He just runs out of the huddle. Nothing close to him today. On 2nd down, the toss is to Ingram, and they don't get much there. Stopped right at the line of scrimmage as Jeff Burris from Rock Hill, South Carolina, came up to make the stop. Burris, who had a big game against Southern California last week, number 9, wearing the same number as Tony Rice, has gone on to other pastures, but both from the same hometown. And Rice, who helped recruit Burris, said, hey, I want you to wear my number 9. Keep it in the Rock Hill family.
Well, Burris with 2 interceptions, excellent run support. It's turning out to be the complete defensive back. Still only a sophomore.
On 3rd down, Van Meter in trouble, and down he goes. A yard loss as Devon McDonald makes the knifing tackle and denies the 1st down.
This is the problem because there are only so many things Navy can do out of this offense. They only have functioned with it for a week, just practiced a week, and Notre Dame's beginning to zero in on the things that Navy's doing, and there are only 2 or 3 things we saw in practice that Navy has yet to attempt. So they're in a sense they're sort of running out of steam with the things available to them.
First punt or actually this is the 2nd for Tom Frosch.
They just can't afford a big return here. Oh, that snap doesn't look very good.
Ooh, just got it away into the wind, and Burris will let it bounce, and it takes a Navy roll inside the 15. And the Irish will start from about their 12-yard line. It was Junior Bryant that was very close to making the block. A 36-yard punt by Frosch. Timeout. 5:59 left in the half. Look at the Notre Dame huddle, and you see they wear black shoes. Lou Holtz's teams always wore white, and black shoes almost cost Notre Dame the chance to recruit Jerome Bettis. I'll give you the rest of that story after this play as the Irish start from inside their 13, and Mirer looking for something big. Going long for Smith. He's open, and it's overthrown as the wind took that one.
It looked good for a minute. The ball just took off on Rick Mirer. Just took off on him.
Well, Lou Holtz was telling us about recruiting Bettis, and he was in his home in Detroit, and Jerome Bettis said, Coach, you're going to wear white shoes? And he says, no, we wear black. He said, well, then could I tape my shoes? And Lou Holtz said, gee, I really didn't like the idea. And then I thought of those films and how good he looked on, on film. And he said, yeah, you can tape your shoes. We don't normally allow it. But that's part of the deal here. The black shoes, that's not what Jerome wanted. Rodney Culver out to the 15-yard line, and we go down to John Dockery.
You know, Dick, it was cute along the sidelines before the offense went back out. Joe Moore had all his offensive linemen along the bench, and he asked each one of them, why can't we trap? There's 2 defenders that we can't seem to account for. And he asked each player, is it your man? No. Is it your man? No. Is it your man? No. Went down to each offensive lineman. None of them would admit that they're not getting their player on offense, and he just shook his head and walked away. Now back to you.
Well, it speaks well for Dick Biddle, the coordinator for Navy. They're placing those guys in just the right spot.
The toss is out to Brooks. And Brooks has a first down, and down goes a flag at the 24. Chris Beck made the stop, and there again, 3rd and long, and that has just been the Achilles heel of this Navy defense. They stopped the opposition all year long for the first 2 downs, and Coach Chomp told us, he said, then on 3rd, somehow we can't make the play.
Well, in that situation, a passing situation, everybody's spread out a little further, and Navy's lack of mobility and speed begins to really demonstrate itself. And typically, for a team that's not doing well, the 3rd down is always a pickle down.
5 yards, first down.
Incidental face mask as you see it again.
I thought there might be holding on the outside. Those Notre Dame guys really sustained their blocks well. See that beautiful job of blocking outside by Smith.
After the 5-yard penalty from the 30, it's Mirer to Derek Brown. down, and the tight end rolls his way over the 45-yard line.
Well, you get Navy out in space, and they get in trouble because Notre Dame's bigger and they're faster. And, of course, Mirer is a superb quarterback. Navy is loaded up to stop the run, loaded up, and now this passing game can really take him apart. What is he? He hasn't missed a pass yet. Oh, he's missed the one pass, yeah. Other than that, he's having a perfect day. Missed one deep pass.
Well, actually one earlier, too, Bill. 6 for 8, 127 for Mirer, and a touchdown, 2 yards. The only score going to Derek Brown. Mirer to Culver. Hit first by Chris Hart. Assisted by Byron Ogden.
Well, I know that Lou Holtz wants to run the ball for all kinds of reasons. He feels that really establishes the physical part of the game. The execution can be there, the consistency. But against Navy, if you really wanted to go after him, you just start throwing down after down, because the Annapolis guys just aren't as big and aren't as fast, spread all over the field, and especially when the ball's in the air.
Glossy numbers for Mirer here in the first half. He has 3 wide receivers right, and then gives to Bettis up the middle. That's his longest run of the day for a first down to the 40-yard line. Pickup of about 8 yards for Bettis. They've kept him pretty well in check.
Well, Chris Beck came in from a linebacker spot at 205 pounds and took Jerome right at the ankles and got him out of there. Because other than that, if it hadn't been for Beck, it would have been a trademark Bettis 50-yard run.
Bettis, who has 14 touchdowns this year, 4th in the nation in scoring.
This is trouble.
He overthrows Culver. 2nd and 10 for Notre Dame, who will play Tennessee here next Saturday. Then the Irish go on the road 2 weeks from today, Penn State, and finish with a trip to Hawaii. So 2 tough opponents ahead, both in the top 15 in the nation.
I said this is trouble as that play was developing, because Rick Mirer was in trouble. Brian Ogden was right down his throat, had cut him off beautifully, and Mirer basically had to throw the ball away.
Bettis and Brooks behind Mirer.
Maybe shifting their defense.
Off play action, the screen to Brooks with blockers, and a good job done by Mark Ellis, right in the thick of all those blockers. Ellis, one of the smallest defenders on the field, made the hit. Number 40, assisted by 62 David Shaw. Flag down way back in the secondary of Navy.
It very well could have been a block, illegal block downfield.
Before the pass, no, clipping against Notre Dame.
Yeah, it looked as though there was a defensive back. I didn't get the numbers down the field. And there's the clip from, that's a tough one.
Yeah, because the Navy defender did turn. Chad Chatlis, his dad was a Michigan State player in the 60s and roomed with Bubba Smith. George Chatlis.
He was an all Big Ten player.
Linebacker, indeed.
Yeah.
So with the penalty, back to the 45. Notre Dame leading 10-0 with 3:21 left in the half. It's been a noble effort by Navy without a win this year thus far. Mirer down the middle, intercepted by Chatlis. We were just talking about him. Navy has it at the 30-yard line.
He saw that coming. He saw Mirer telegraphing the throw, and he exploded. And did he commit himself? He took a shot. He went right for the ball.
His second of the season. Chad Chatlis from Youngwood, Pennsylvania, in the Pittsburgh area. Let's see that steal again.
It's a tough angle to see it, but Chatlis right at this moment is coming for the ball right in front of the receiver.
Took it right out of Tony Smith's hands as Mirer intercepted for the 8th time this year. Timeout. Back at Notre Dame, the defensive Navy, 7 interceptions the first 7 games, and Chatlis has the 8th today, and it was beautifully done.
This is the best interception of the year from a safety of the games, the collegiate games we've seen. Look at Chatlis, cut right in front of, I think that's Dawson down there.
That was Tony Smith.
Was it Tony? Beautiful job of just cutting right in front of him as the ball got there.
From the 28-yard line, first pass of the day, and it's overthrown, intended for the tight end, Kevin Hickman.
Oh, boy, maybe that's why. No passes.
21 consecutive runs, and that pass may get us toward another 21 in a row.
We may not see one again. They have some plays we saw when we visited Annapolis. I can't speak very well. I'm a little cold. Gosh.
Next time, why don't you bring a coat? You came here like you're going to Southern California.
But we saw a number of special plays we haven't seen yet. So there are a few tricks up George's sleeve.
Give to the fullback, and Stramanek. That sounds like a fullback, doesn't it? He's built like Zonka. He'd like to run like him, he says.
Well, he had a major knee damage in high school, and had to overcome that. They told him he'd never play football again, and they thought he might be. Well, we have another problem.
John
on
Covington.
This team.
Covington, the young man from Winter Haven, Florida, who has played so well as with the injuries. Lou Holtz moving him up to actually a defensive end, drop end position when Eric Jones went down against Air Force. And Covington being attended.
He's a 205-pound linebacker at this point, Covington. Excellent athlete. Beautiful athlete.
Family of 20, 10 boys, 10 girls. He said same parents. Mother did all the cooking, wouldn't let us help with the cooking, wouldn't let us help with the washing. We had other chores, but she did it all. Let's see how it happened as they worked on Covington. We'll check that play again. 29.
We're looking for 29 right here. You'll find him. And as the play continues, it looks like he gets trapped underneath everything right at this point. You see his leg caught up underneath him. I had circled the wrong man. Covington was all by himself as the play started, and it looks like he just got sort of trampled.
And he got that knee bent in and the body against the knee, and they'll help him off the field. That never a pleasant sight. And they're going to take him right to the dressing room, and so that is a serious injury to John Covington. As you look at other scores, unbeaten Washington rolling Michigan. That seems to be almost destiny, those two teams in the Rose Bowl. Alabama, tough win. California really pounding the Trojans of Southern California.
Bruce Snyder, what a great job he's done at Berkeley.
Iowa, Ohio State, so that means it's Iowa, but they were beaten by Michigan earlier. Tennessee big over Memphis State. Nick Smith comes in for Covington. Smith, number 30. Third down. And the midshipman, it's Van Meter to the 35, shy of the first down. Jim Flanagan and others on the tackle. Flanagan 44, the last to get up. Clock running at 2:25, and the punting team comes on for Navy.
Again, they're using Van Meter basically as a running back playing quarterback. That was a quarterback sweep going away from the running backs. The old wing tee Delaware kind of football.
Had lunch in Bancroft Hall with Jason Van Meter. Delightful young man.
Boy, those guys look you straight in the eye, don't they? Oh. They are something.
His class load alone was mind-boggling. The punt by Frosch with Burris fair catching it at the Notre Dame 38-yard line. Just so we don't leave that point, Jason Van Meter is a sophomore at the Naval Academy. Along with the rigors of the military and the extra work there and football that consumes 3 to 4 hours a day, his class load includes physics, calculus 2, navigation, French, and economics. 18 hours. He's a sophomore. These young men don't have a lot of time. They don't play a lot of dominoes and chess and crossword puzzles with the academy.
Well, it's expected that they study 2 hours for every hour of class time.
Tony Brooks on first down, carries tacklers about 4 yards on the play, and it's down to 1:37 clock running as we see other scores. Games underway. Utah State by 1 over Fresno State. That's a surprise.
Fresno State undefeated. Jim Sweeney's team, a ranked team. I think they're about 22 in the nation, getting upset.
Illegal procedure against the Irish. Stay with us at halftime. Not only will you get all the scores and highlights with Gail Gardner, Bill Parcells, and Will McDonough will come in. We look ahead to the Houston-Washington game tomorrow. I'll probably be running down the Breeders' Cup results. Boys, you know, that pick 7 today at the Breeders' Cup nationwide will involve anywhere from $10 to $30 million. And with 3 huge upsets, someone is going to jump up and is jumping today for joy, if anyone could have picked 7, as we had some payoffs in the 50s and another in the 80s in the Cup coverage today. Mirer. The ball was dead. The knee down by Tony Smith as he caught the ball. He could not get up and advance. It'll be shy of the first down at the 47-yard line. The clock continues to run.
If Navy can escape this half 10-0, they've done a beautiful job of playing, of competing, of coaching. I mean, they can take great pride in 30 minutes of football if they can get it done. But Rick Mirer can get it over with real fast. Just get the ball down the field.
Final minute of the half. Notre Dame leading 10-0. Mirer outside to Ray Griggs, and he's tackled inbounds, but it is a first down at the 42. The clock stops with 50 seconds left. The midshipmen held Notre Dame to 10 all last year at the Meadowlands. In fact, the Mids should have been in the lead. They dropped a pass in the end zone. And trying to do the same today, although down by 10. A touchdown here would really be demoralizing for Navy. And that's it. What Meyer's going after as Griggs catches it back-to-back, and the clock stops with 40 seconds left. Another Irish first down at the Navy 28.
Well, Navy's being forced deep by all that Notre Dame speed, and they're getting their man in the flat, and there just isn't anybody there. And Mirer gets the ball there so quickly, Dick. He just gets the ball right on the line to the receiver. It's just beautiful to watch. And I would say his arm is certainly commensurate with people like Everett of the Rams and people of that ability. Just a beautiful arm.
11 for 15, Mirer, and a touchdown, 1 interception, and he goes to work again. Wide open Griggs, and the pass behind him. So Griggs perfect 2 for 2. He goes 2 for 3. He's used to being perfect. In baseball high school, he stole 55 bases in 55 tries. He's not on the Irish baseball team, but his teammate Irv Smith, a long ball hitter, is the tight end, the backup tight end to Derek Brown.
Well, Griggs has caught 2 passes all year without all that ability as a junior. So that shows you the depth of personnel that Notre Dame has. And they're all ready to play each week. You go right through this Notre Dame roster, and we'll see some people possibly in the second half that will be ready to play who have not been in a game all year, and they'll play well.
Triple left formation.
There's a screen underneath.
And Mirer throws incomplete and almost deflected into the hands of Navy. Tony Smith, and the timing thrown off by the Navy infiltration of the screen, and Robert Goodson putting pressure on Mirer.
Goodson would not be denied. He just turned it on, and Mirer wanted more time for this play to develop to the inside. But look at the speed. Goodson is just going straight for Mirer. He's not a bit cautious about it or what's going to happen to me next. He just had one guy in mind.
But on 3rd and 5 or more, the Irish have made it 3 out of 4 times. That's been the Navy story this year, and it's 3rd and 10 for Mirer. Good protection, and wide open, the tight end Derek Brown, breaking tackles, and he's inside the 10. Play to Derek Brown. 1st and goal, Notre Dame, 20 seconds left.
Well, Navy was really concerned about Jerome Bettis going right down the middle deep, and they sent him down the middle, right down the middle, and then out comes Brown late underneath Bettis. That time it was really Tony Brooks they'd sent down the middle, but they had a back down the middle. Navy chased him, and out came Derek Brown wide open. Beautifully executed and designed play.
And at 252 pounds, Brown outweighs everyone in that secondary of Navy by plenty.
Well, 20 seconds of survival for the Naval Academy. 20 seconds. If they can just keep Notre Dame out of that end zone, they can really take pride in it, but it's going to be awfully tough to do if Mirer and Lou decide to throw the ball.
Notre Dame spending its first time out with 20 seconds left. They're 2 for 2 inside the 20 today. A 2-yard touchdown pass Mirer to Derek Brown and a 35-yard field goal by Craig Hentrich. Notre Dame student body keeping warm, bouncing on those toes. Temperature about 25. The chill factor at kickoff time, if you weren't with us, was below 0. Mirer sends Briggs and Smith wide left. You figure he's going to roll that way. No, he screens it, complete to Bettis. Bettis, touchdown. On a record-tying touchdown pass, Rick Mirer, his 16th of the season. Jerome Bettis scores his 15th touchdown.
And it was beautifully executed screen pass by the entire Notre Dame offensive unit. Aaron Taylor, Knapp, McGuire coming out in front of the screen pass. The timing of the play, just beautifully executed.
Hentrich, that wind carrying it, but it's good. 17-0 Notre Dame. And for Rick Mirer, he's now tied with Joe Theismann, John Heward, and Bob Williams. 16 touchdown passes in a single season.
Get a look at the TD. Mirer holds the ball as long as he can, and he has to throw it over a defender's head. But once this guy gets on track, who can stop him? And he's so big, so quick.
That white tape didn't slow him down a bit, did it?
No, you'll do anything in recruiting. If he'd have said, I've got my own special shoes, I'm afraid that Lou might have conceded.
George Chomp, you could just feel him bite his lip on that one. He could have stopped Notre Dame 10-0, but the Irish, in just a minute and 35 seconds, go 62 yards using the passing of Mirer and score on the 9-yard screen to Jerome Bettis. 12 seconds remaining. 40-point underdog Navy playing the Irish gallantly here in the first half. Stay with us at halftime for all the college scores and highlights and some insights as well from Messrs. Parcells and McDonough. See a few snow flurries start to float down on the green turf of Notre Dame Stadium. This series that began in 1927, 3 years before this stadium was built. Hentrich, actually, ball fell just as he was about to kick it. For a moment, I thought he made contact.
I was looking all over the stadium for the ball. It just didn't show up.
In which case, had he made contact, that could have been Navy's ball at the Irish 36.
There it goes.
Yeah, that's like Charlie Brown and Peanuts. Hentrich with a sidewinder. Pose up.
Yeah, that's good.
Could have squatted and taken the touchback, but he's down with 4 seconds to go.
Well, if the impetus of the ball goes into the end zone, you simply fall on it there and get it on the 20. But you have to make a decision like that sort of desperately. But fortunately, there are 4 seconds, so Navy can escape this problem.
Navy, as you take another look at it again, the second time that Koza been in his behalf.
No,
boy, that ball doing tricks.
Yeah, in that case, could just sit on it. Now protect it. That's all you can do.
And we'd think that Jason Van Meter's been instructed to take no chances here, just to kneel down.
There's the explanation.
Well, every man on this Navy team not born the last time the midshipmen beat Notre Dame. He was down at the 3, a flag down as well, as the final seconds of the half have ticked off the clock. If against Notre Dame, they'll have another play. If against Navy, the half is over. It's against Navy, and that'll do it for the first half, we would think. As Lou Holtz and the Notre Dame team head for a warm locker room, we go down to John Dockery.
Thank you, Dick. Coach, a valiant first half.
Our kids play well. 4 third down and long situations, and it breaks my heart because we played good defense and we let them out on 4 3rd and longs, the 3rd and 14, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9, and 3rd and 10. And if we learn how to play third down defenses, I think we could be a good football team. It's been that way all year.
Coach, that last touchdown had to kill you in that long drive, right?
They made it. What could I say?
Okay, Coach. Good luck. Thank you. Dick.
All right, John Dockery at the half. Notre Dame 17, Navy nothing from freezing South Bend, Indiana. Let's go to New York, where the chill factor is 73, and Gail Gardner.
Thank you, Dick. Nice and warm. And coming up at the half, we will have college scores and highlights. We'll head to the NBA for a look at opening night and a talk with Billy Owens, who just a short time ago did sign with Golden State. Then, with the help of Will McDonough and Bill Parcells, we'll preview the key matchup in the NFL this week between the Redskins and the Oilers. All that and more right after this.
Notre Dame began 150 years ago, and its people still talk about the same things: inquiry, belief, and community.
One of the things that I think is really interesting is that so many people of other faith traditions feel comfortable. A lot come here because they want to experience a religious atmosphere.
And when you're amongst students who really want to talk about their faith, and they really challenge each other, even if it's from midnight to 2 a.m., they'll still argue it out.
And they do choose courses.
There is one school where dedication, honor, and pride still hold meaning. The United States Naval Academy educates young men and women who accept the challenge of being a leader, who go beyond what is expected, push themselves to the physical limit, and accept nothing less than the best. At the Naval Academy, providing America's leadership is a proud tradition.
So a day of upsets at Louisville, Kentucky at Churchill Downs and the Breeders' Cup, and so it has been in thoroughbred racing, but in Navy's behalf, unfortunately, when they were unable to stop Notre Dame in that final drive at the end of the first half, it's underdog Navy down by 17-0.
Well, Navy has played their hearts out, Dick. They've executed well. The design of their offense and their defense was very good, but they're just simply outgunned, and when they're stretched all over the field, then it really shows up. The forward pass has murdered them. Playing with 4 linebackers, they just don't have pass defense.
Well, the Irish accumulated their 17 points in this manner. It was Derek Brown on a 2-yard pass from Rick Mirer, his 15th touchdown throw of the year, 7-0 Notre Dame. And then this catch by Lake Dawson, taking it away from the Navy defense, set up a field goal. It was Dawson's second spectacular catch in 2 weeks. That was for 48 yards. Hentrich connected from 35, 10-0 Notre Dame in the second. And then with just seconds remaining in the first half, Mirer hit Derek Brown, the tight end, and Brown running through Navy tacklers got the Irish inside the midshipmen's 10-yard line, and from there, the screen to Jerome Bettis, and Bettis took it in from 9 yards out, and Notre Dame had the halftime lead 17-0.
Well, I'll tell you, we just looked at Brown run through 4 Navy tacklers, and here's Bettis running through 3 Navy tacklers. It's just that power, that strength, that movement that the midshipmen just don't have athletes like that on the field today.
Navy will get the ball to open the second half. Cleavon Smith, number 4 on the near side. Mike Kozub, the fullback on the far side. Hentrich sends a low skidder to Kozub. They fake the reverse, and Kozub gets out to the 29-yard line. They fake the reverse to Vinnie Smith that worked very effectively against Delaware last week. And it'll be the midshipmen from their own 29-yard line. Ryan Mahalko made the tackle, and here are the numbers in the first 30 minutes of this game. No passing yards for Navy. They threw the ball only once. Notre Dame using the pass for perhaps the first time significantly this year to really accumulate the yardage. Stopped on the ground, only 66 rushing yards by Notre Dame. Navy 24 runs, 1 pass in the first half. Stramanek, and he's to the 35-yard line, a pickup of 5 on first down. Devon McDonald makes the tackle. Of all the people rooting, and many of the fans in this cold have made off toward the cars or to shoulder, of all the people rooting for Notre Dame today, no one is cheering harder than the men on the bench. This was the game with a 40-point underdog that a lot of the reserves, the walk-ons, hope, hey, this will be my chance to play on national television.
Well, they'll get their chance, is my guess, because Navy's going to have a real hard time scoring without the forward pass at all. Now, this is the one thing they do have, as Van Meter on the option play, and then occasionally handing off to his fullback, and they're going to have a reverse in here. We'll see it soon, I'd assume, and a screen pass. But at some point, I think it'll be very evident, and once that happens, they're going to substitute.
Jason Van Meter
will substitute.
Jason Van Meter is the leading rusher in the game, 61 yards for the Navy quarterback, and that one gives the midshipmen a first down across their own 40. Everyone anticipating a role in this game, trying to stay warm. B.J. Mason again out to the right. Wishbone Navy on first down. Stramanak forges forward a few yards. Troy Ridgely, the junior for Notre Dame, number 99, made the tackle.
Well, again, one of the problems, Dick, are these backup Notre Dame players that would so much like to play and deserve to play. Are going to have to somehow stay warm. They're going to be called in ice cold from that sideline to play football. Not that they won't be ready, but so often you like to stretch and be warm and prepare yourself physically.
Again out of the double wing. Fake to Stramanak. Second pass, Van Meter. And he runs. Nice move, and he's in Notre Dame territory. First down at the Irish 47. 11 yards on the scramble.
Down the field, they have people open. There isn't any question about it. And this is a nice job of faking, but the fundamentals aren't there for the throwing. And you can, gee, now everybody's after him. But look at this nice move, break right up underneath inside. Very, very nice play on Rod Smith, one of the best defensive backs in college football. So Van Meter is just exactly what George Chomp said he was. He's a wonderful competitor and a fine, smallish athlete.
He's got a lot of moxie. Now Stramanak, and he's close to another first down as he's chopped at the 36-yard line by safety man Willie Clark.
Clark was the only guy. We've heard that said many times in football, but in this case it's absolutely true. When Clark had to be there, Stramanak just lowers his pads. He's not very deceptive, but he's a tough guy.
44 yards today for Stramanak.
And we talked earlier, Dick, about him having major knee surgery in high school and being out of football, and then through his own efforts, he not only played football again, but he was admitted to the Naval Academy.
All the running backs for Navy will be back next year, as will the quarterbacks. And for one of the few times today, Van Meter dropped for a loss. Demetrius DeBose from Seattle, Washington, making a painful hit.
This Notre Dame team has improved by the day. From the first time we saw them practicing this fall, early fall, before their first game, to this point, I don't know if there's been a team that's improved as much as Lou Holtz's team has here in South Bend.
Trailing 17-0. Navy looks at a 2nd and 11 into the wind. Van Meter caught from the backside by Junior Bryant, number 95 from Omaha, Nebraska.
Well, Van Meter is playing Bettis' role today. He's carrying the ball virtually every play, and he's less than 180 pounds.
Picked up 2 on that play. 3rd and 9 at the Irish 39. Make that 34-yard line as Van Meter's total is now 74 yards rushing today.
And 15 carries. Now that is journeyman work for a guy that size. But every one of these Navy players, there isn't one guy out on that practice field that doesn't have a great future. Here's the reverse.
And it's Vinny Smith. Didn't fool Notre Dame. Tackled at the 31-yard line. And I would guess on 4th down, Navy will go for it. Jeff Burris makes another tackle for Notre Dame.
You know, Dick, as we watched the practice, there's over 170 guys playing varsity football, over 100 playing battalion football, another 100 playing lightweight football, under 160 pounds. They have over 400 people playing football.
That's about 10% of the academy involved in active football.
And you'd wonder which programs are doing the most educationally for the athletes. It could be that Navy has the best program in the country on those terms. Here's 4th down. Oh, boy.
Van Meter with no chance, surrounded by Irish tacklers, and Anthony Peterson gets to him shy of the 1st down, and Notre Dame takes over.
Just nowhere to run. The Notre Dame defense just stretched it out, kept their feet, kept their eye on Van Meter. He had nowhere to go.
Notre Dame football is brought to you by Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering. By Craftsman Tools, only at Sears, the home of America's craftsmen. By Braun Electric Shavers. It is through superior design that superior performance can be achieved. And by Visa, official card and traveler's check of the 1992 Olympic Games. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Lights taking their full effect on this wintry November night. And touchdown Jesus on the Notre Dame Library across the way at the northern end of the stadium. And the Irish, with a 17-0 lead, have the ball for the first time in the second half. Navy had consumed some 5 minutes with that drive, and then we're stopped. Jerome Bettis on 1st down picks up 4 up the middle.
If Navy can hold on and stop the run the way they're doing, you know, an interesting consideration, Dick. I would bet you that not one of the teams that has beaten Navy would even be close to Notre Dame right now if they were playing in this stadium today. I mean, Navy has lost 7 games, but they're just doing an incredible job physically and standing up to Notre Dame as well as they are.
Yeah, the one team that might argue would be Air Force. They played
the Air Force.
Notre Dame tough out in Colorado.
Yeah, I wouldn't include Air Force, but the other teams certainly.
Rodney Culver close to a 1st down at the 44 as Robert Goodson made the tackle. Well, the camaraderie between Lou Holtz on the near side and George Chomp on the far side goes back to their days as assistants, roommates and office mates at Ohio State under Woody Hayes. And in fact, last night we've learned that George Chomp asked Lou Holtz to talk to his team after practice, which Lou Holtz did. Then they went to the Knights of Columbus Smoker last evening and shared the microphone and entertained the crowd with stories of their days. And I'm sure included there was the story of Lou Holtz borrowing Chomp's car, leaving the keys in the car, and the car was stolen. And in those days, that's about all they had. There's Holtz, lower left, and Chomp. That's Woody Hayes' 1968 unbeaten team, the last Big Ten team to win the national title. Of course, Bill Mallory on the lower right there of Indiana was also on that excellent staff of Woody Hayes. They used to go to the Kitty Cat Lounge together.
Wait a minute.
No, sounds worse than
What are you revealing here? The Kitty Cat Lounge? I guess that's when you were living independently, just taking the job, just coming into Columbus.
1st down on the sneak by Mirer, and they'd go in because they had a terrific, according to Lou Holtz, female piano player that would play his favorite alley cat. George Chomp remembers the favorite as being
Yellow Bird?
Yellow Bird up in Banana Tree, and Lou Holtz said, yeah, that was part of it all too. Became he and his wife Beth's favorite song, Yellow Bird, from a cruise experience. Mirer on 1st down from the 45, and he goes downtown. Lake Dawson, he's got another. He caught that one right out of his shoes. Lost the shoe, caught the ball, 1st down at the 18-yard line.
Beautiful job of running a post pattern, and he ran that post pattern behind Chatlow. Carlos, who was coming over to help out. You see him run right in behind. That's McGinnis. And McGinnis ran right past the play. So it was a beautiful job of designing a play to account for the pursuit by Navy.
It wasn't the shoe, Bill. Look, it was the glove that as he rolled over that he lost, but he hangs onto the ball in a 37-yard gain. 2 catches, 85 yards for Dawson. Tony Brooks, as the pads collide to the 11-yard line with 8 minutes left in the third quarter. Notre Dame relentlessly driving toward that Navy goal line once again. As you check the top 25 teams in action today and their scores. From the 11, second down and 3. Collision in the backfield. Mirer actually made the first hit, and then Navy came in to surround Tony Brooks for a loss.
Dan Pigeon came right around Gene McGuire and was there, no question about it. Right in the middle. You see number 70 just pursuing right around the corner and did a great job.
Well, Pigeon, who was injured a knee in the first half, returns. That's good news for Navy men. At the 13-yard line, it'll be 3rd and 5. Mirer, touchdown, Tony Smith. Number 4 for Tony Smith, and that sets a new Notre Dame record. Rick Mirer, with all the great quarterbacks in the history of the University of Notre Dame, no one has thrown more touchdown passes in a season than Mirer. That's his 17th, and he does it in the 9th game of the year. So it's not more games. He matches against the great All-America tradition at that position. Mirer, best of all, and touchdown throwing on a team coached by a man who would rather not pass, loves to run. Here it is, the record for Notre Dame. Mirer buying time on the roll and a perfect strike to Tony Smith. And with 6:56 left in the third quarter, 24-0 Notre Dame.
This Joe Montana winning moment is brought to you by Nuprin. Nup it with Nuprin, the body pain medicine. October 1975, Falcon Stadium, Colorado Springs. 6,600 feet above sea level. Joe Montana's magic reaches new heights. Montana magically pilots the Irish back from a 30-7 deficit to a 31-30 win. Air Force grounded by another of Joe Montana's winning moments.
As the snow falls in South Bend, the Irish celebrate on a beautiful night in Michiana. As the snow adding to temperatures, winds up to 35 miles an hour today. Chill factor below 0. NBC never bends. Oh, give us a break. 24-0 on a cold late afternoon and night where the forward pass has been the key weapon of destruction for Notre Dame. And in fact, Rick Mirer's passing total over 250 yards is his high of the season, and he's very close to his all-time high, 265 yards against Navy last year.
That last pass going to his left, throwing right-handed as he ran full speed left, was vintage Joe Montana. Vintage Joe Montana. Now, Navy's playing 4 linebackers. Rick Mirer has everything going for him, great receivers, but he's also demonstrating what a beautiful, accurate passer he is when he gets a chance to do it.
Brad Stramanak, the fullback, out to the Navy 25-yard line, a 7-yard pickup on first down. Stramanak, in visiting with him earlier this week in Annapolis, asking, well, what do you guys do when games get lopsided? I said, well, if you really don't mind, it would be nice if the game were close and it's up to you and your fellow mids to do that. Then it's a lot easier.
Beautiful trap play.
Straminak, and he has a first down across the 35-yard line. Let's go down to John Dockery.
Thank you, Dick. I'm with Admiral Tom Lynch. And, Tom, you were on the last team to beat the Irish back in Roger Staubach. What do you remember most?
That's right, John. It was a day not quite as cold as today. There's a little snow on the ground, but Roger had a great game. And also Pat Donnelly, our All-American fullback, ran well. And Skippy Orr at flanker. But we did a great job against the Irish that day. 35-14 was the final score. I certainly remember that one.
It's been a lot of years since Naval Academy has beaten the Irish. Will this series continue the way it's been a mismatch for a lot of years?
I sure hope so, John, because we're young, and you've seen a lot of good football out there today. But Notre Dame, we ask our students to strive for excellence in all areas, as a student, as an athlete, and as a person. And Notre Dame represents the excellence in college athletics, particularly in football. And so to have that opportunity to play major college football against the Irish here in South Bend, it's a great thrill. And we'll be back. We've got a very young team, and we accounted ourselves, cleared ourselves very well today, and we will continue to do very well.
Thank you, Admiral. I appreciate it.
Meanwhile, Navy on the ground. Straminak stopped after short gain. We should remind our audience that Rear Admiral Thomas Lynch, who is the superintendent, in essence the president at the academy, is the brother of Jim Lynch, who played here at Notre Dame, was not in the game. His freshmen were not eligible when he saw his brother win on 63 with Staubach. Jim Lynch, of course, then went on as an All-America to Kansas City, and with the Chiefs, maybe the best linebacking core ever in the NFL with Bobby Bell and Willie Lanier. Straminak again straight ahead, and he may have another first down, so it's give it to the fullback here in the third quarter for Navy.
Michael Davis, right guard, did a nice job of pulling and trapping, as did Steve Palmer, blocking back away from the trap. So they've run 3 excellent trap plays inside. They seem to have found what you might call a weakness in the Notre Dame alignment. So the midshipmen are just going about this as though the score were 0-0. And as long as you do that, you'll play well and you'll make progress, because the season is over. There are 3 games after this, including Army, of course.
Straminak doesn't get it this time. Second pass, Van Meter, complete to Ingram, who was hit immediately by Jeff Burris.
Well, Ingram had to hold that ball because he knew Burris would be there. He could sense it. First completion of the evening for Annapolis, no question about that. And it was a well-designed play. And Van Meter doesn't even pretend to be a great passer, but it took a little bit of concentration to make that catch.
Gain of 9 on the play. 3:44 left in the third quarter for George Chomp, trying to get on the scoreboard against 5th-ranked Notre Dame. Straminak on the fake, and does Van Meter get leveled by Demetrius DeBose. So the first-team defense primarily still in there, and that's a credit to Navy's work today.
Look at Van Meter. He got right up after this, but look at the shot he takes. He weighs about 180 pounds, and DeBose is a future All-Pro in the NFL. But the courage factor, no difference between the two.
You know, in meeting with the Navy kids, I liked your remark about, the 100th man on the Navy squad. What did you say?
Well, my point, the 100th man could be the chief of staff in the military. He could be the president of the United States. Any one of those guys could turn out to run a nuclear submarine, to fly a jet. And so each one of them are so darn valuable to the Naval Academy and to the country. And they're such bright, attentive, dedicated young people. Really an impression, right?
Well, do you see it getting better for Navy?
Well, it'll get better to the extent that they can play at another level of football. To me, I suppose it's fine playing Notre Dame every year. And for Admiral Lynch to make those remarks, I think they're very charitable and very honest and straightforward. But I believe Navy is an Ivy League kind of school related to competition at this time. They could do very well in the Ivy League, but they're just not going to get the kind of talent to play the Big Ten or the Pac-10 or certainly the Notre Dame level of football.
Benny Smith would have been better off not catching that ball. It goes for a loss back to the Notre Dame 46-yard line. The midshipmen have been in Notre Dame territory 4 times today, and in the first quarter got as close as to 13, but fell inches short on 4th down. That's been their closest to scoring.
You know, by the way, on Admiral Lynch, he was a fine linebacker at Navy and could very well have been an NFL football player. Very well. He was very comparable to his brother Jim. Same size, same athletic ability. So he was not a slouch when it comes to playing football.
Van Meter, a late toss that goes out of bounds at the 49-yard line, still in Navy's control. And that will force the midshipmen to bring on the putting team with 1:33 left in this third quarter. DeBoe's motioning a Navy ball or Notre Dame ball, but that was a 3rd down play, not 4th down.
It was most interesting in visiting Annapolis that they have lightweight football.
Penalty flag down.
158-pounders playing lightweight football. They have their own schedule. They're undefeated, by the way. And what an opportunity for the smaller guys to play very competitive football. They also have a junior varsity program with its schedule. They have battalion football, tackle football.
There's a dead ball, personal foul on the defense, 15 yards and a 1st down.
Apparently a late hit by a Notre Dame player, and a 1st down goes with it at the 34. Let's take a look.
Well, no question that the potential ball carrier didn't have the ball, and of course the hit came very, very late.
Lou Holtz does not like that. At the 34-yard line, and joining us in our broadcast booth, the retired president of the University of Notre Dame and one of the esteemed educational leaders in the country, the Reverend Father Thomas Hesburgh, and we'll get his answer about this rivalry. Will it continue? Should it continue? Stramanak straight ahead. And Father, I hear words like tradition and loyalty associated with this connection between Navy and Notre Dame.
Well, there couldn't be more tradition. This very stadium was dedicated in 1930 by Admiral S.S. Robinson, and we've been playing them ever since. In fact, from before that, 1927. Top of that, during the war, we would have been completely out of business here, except the Navy moved in 5,000 strong, and we trained about 25,000 officer trainees during the war, commissioned over 12,000. And then going back to the academy, my predecessor and I and Father Ned Joyce were all members of the Board of Visitors, and all of us were chairman of the Board of Visitors, like being chairman of the Board of Trustees. So we have a long association. We're similar schools in the sense we have long tradition, we have good discipline, and I think, top of that, a great spirit.
And obviously you have a loyalty to Navy. After all, as you say, you'd had the signs up close for business in World War II.
That's right. Well, in any event, it's a great series, and I hope it goes on forever.
How about Navy? You think they'll ever... I heard, did I hear correctly? Do you hope that Navy does win?
Well, I like to see Navy win once in a while. I really do, because I think it's a great fighting spirit for the academy, and it means a lot to them to win. And I'd be the first one to cheer if they did. I don't mean today.
You say that every year, don't you? Final seconds of the 3rd period. And out of bounds goes Navy on 3rd down, shy of a 1st down, and 10-3. Notre Dame 24, Navy nothing. Thank you, Father Hesburgh. We'll return after these messages from your local station. On a wintry night in South Bend, Indiana, we welcome you to the 4th quarter. Navy and Notre Dame. Dick Enberg with Bill Walsh and John Dockery. It opens with Navy on the Notre Dame 31-yard line, 4th down and 7. The Irish, ranked 5th in the nation, going for their 8th win of the year, 7 in a row. Navy trying to get on the scoreboard. Van Meter underneath to his tight end, but read well by DeBose as he makes the hit on Kevin Hickman, and the Irish take over on downs. As Notre Dame will begin begin on their 28. Let's take a look at another Xerox Sports Facts. Well, it's 24-0 today. What was Notre Dame's largest margin of victory in their over 100 years of collegiate football? Rick Mirer still in there.
Still in there. Lou Holtz, I think, wants to shut out. That's what it appears to be.
Rodney Culver, also a starter, tackled across the 30.
Because we're down to the fourth quarter, and there's been some substitution by Lou Holtz, but not the massive substitution we anticipated. And so maybe it's a matter of trying to get just one man at a time in coming to a game rather than substitute by team, just individually. Keep the continuity going.
Smith with a touchdown cast to the left. To the right is Ray Griggs. Second down. Mirer has 3 touchdown passes today. Deflected, but still caught by Tony Smith.
That's just bad luck. I just feel for the midshipman on that one. It's just bad luck. The ball was tipped, and Smith is a wonderful athlete, and he has concentrated on the ball, and he ended up with it. But just unfortunate, because this ball was tipped and still comes to Smith. And it's just unfortunate for Navy. Those things start compounding, and it's typical. Purifoy had a chance at it, but Smith got it.
Smith hits the century. That's 100 yards for him on 6 catches. Mirer looking down the field for Tony Brooks. He's open. And down at the 24-yard line. Another big gainer from Mirer.
Well, believe it or not, I'm sure that Lou Holtz wants to show the opposition he can throw the ball. Brooks is going to come out of the backfield. He sneaks through the line. You see him right in the middle of the screen, and he's going to be totally uncovered. Both of the Navy safety men rotated deep to the outside, and Lou Holtz has done a great job with his staff, putting a man down the middle out of the backfield all year. It's been Bettis in the past.
So Mirer enjoying his career day at Notre Dame. Gives to Brooks. Brooks at the 15 and inside the 10. And with this drive, if they score, it may mean an opportunity for the reserves and many walk-ons. There's John Farron. He's a walk-on linebacker, a senior. He represents a spirit that you can find on every collegiate campus. Kids who don't get letters are walk-ons, work against the varsity, on the scout team, looking for that one little opening where they might get a chance to play in a big game. Mirer hit as he gets to the 6-yard line as Byron Ogden, the co-captain, number 55, makes the initial hit. Back to Mirer, a career day for him. He's over 300 yards passing, the first time ever at Notre Dame, and with 3 touchdowns today, has an all-time Notre Dame record of 17 in a season with 3 games yet to play.
Well, Navy had loaded up to stop the run, loaded up to stop Mirer on the option, and given a lot of room down the field for the forward pass, and Lou Holtz just jumped on it, and you've got 300 yards throwing because of it.
On second down, it's Jerome Bettis skidding at the 1. Bettis, who has 1 touchdown today on a screen pass, to give him 15 on the year, a yard away from another.
Well, another touchdown, as you point out, Dick, and we're going to get, I'd assume, mass substitution.
Bettis, by the way, has a string of 5 consecutive games. As you look at the headmaster of Navy, George Chump, Bettis 5 games in a row, 2 touchdowns or more, looking to make it 6 if he can score here.
Should be 6.
Is it his call? Yes. Touchdown, Bettis.
I sort of hope that does it for Notre Dame. I really do. I sort of hope that's the end of the scoring. You'd like to see a lot of people play, but at this point, these kind of games turn into routes. We've seen it before, and Navy's played so well related to the kind of talent they have. That's the one thing I disagree with George Chomp on. He was concerned, remember, Dick, at halftime about they can't stop someone on 3rd down. Well, that's strictly related to his talent, because on 3rd down, a team spreads out and throws the ball, and as soon as you open up a team like Navy and force the defenders to cover a lot of territory, they can't do it. They're not as fast and as quick.
Notre Dame football is brought to you by Subaru. It's what to drive. By Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you friends know when to say when. By Xerox, the document company. And by the U.S. Army. Learn how to get an edge on life. Be all you can be.
Red cheeks of a brave Notre Dame fan, and a pretty one as well, as in this fourth quarter she has stayed. Many have left. 12 minutes to go. 31-0 Notre Dame. Hentrich kicks it down. Picked up by Navy. And Billy James, a halfback, is to the 19-yard line. Tackle made by John Farron, number 48, our walk-on senior. Timeout. Navy spirits have not frozen here in South Bend. Any protection that one can find today from the elements. As Navy goes to work from the 20. A new quarterback in there, and this is 17, Joe Spencer, with a good run on his first carry of about 11 yards and a first down. Spencer from Kansas City, Missouri, a senior.
Well, we figured Joe would come in later in the game, especially if Van Meter got a little bit fatigued. This is a pretty good job. I mean, he just turns it on and is as physical as he can get. There was no caution on that play.
George Foreman, who played defensive back last year, then was switched to quarterback early this year, then back to defense, made the tackle, number 4. Stramanak to the 35-yard line. Let's go back to our Xerox Sports Facts. 31-0 Notre Dame today. The largest margin of victory ever in a game for the Irish goes way, way back, as you might well imagine, to 1905. 142-0 against American Medical. They only played about 8 minutes in the second half because the doctors had to get on a train, go back home.
Anybody can beat American Medical. Come on.
Yeah, I can't even...
They're not in the top 50.
Well, you find them on the New York Stock Exchange now. Yeah. Out to the 40-yard line, where it's third down and about 1. Nick Smith made that tackle, the junior from Cincinnati, number 30. Tackle made by Nick Smith. There's Jason Van Meter, now a cheerleader on the sidelines. Had a solid game. He's just so typical of the wonderful future that we saw at the Naval Academy, and these men that represent Navy, not just Navy in Annapolis, but the Navy of the world, the American Navy.
They have 400 young guys playing football and a lot of others supporting the program, and who's to say what's best for education? If you're talking about experiencing football as an educational part of your life, part of your formal education, well, the service academies do it better than anyone else. They get more participants, and the people learn the lessons of sacrifice, dedication, commitment, bonding with other people, all of those things in football, and those are the kinds of people that learn it really the best and get the most out of it.
It's a tough haul, but those who survive that education are certainly great citizens.
And you'd have to say the same. Now, here's a nice move.
Oh, he's got quick feet, doesn't he? Joe Spencer has seen very little duty this year. A couple of fine runs, and he's in Notre Dame territory inside the 40. That was a 20-yard gallop, the longest play of the day for the Academy.
Demetrius DeBose is still in the game. There's 9 minutes left, approximately, and here is one of the best players in college football. So Lou Holtz is not substituted like we anticipated.
That does surprise you, doesn't it?
Yeah. There he is, and he's makes a great play, but some of the walk-ons aren't playing. But another point, Dick, on walk-ons, like Farron and all these other young guys, who do you think, upon graduation, contribute the most to the university 20 years later?
Well, that's a good point.
It's the walk-ons, believe me. They're the guys that learn so much of it, and they're the ones that that apply it later in life so much better than many of the superstars or the All-Americans or the starters.
Starter Pete Bursich, number 47, made that tackle. Troy Ridgely still in there, 99, DeBose.
Well, they must want a shutout. That's what they're after, because they could be substituting. Certainly, there are a lot of young guys down below us here that had anticipated playing that aren't getting their chance yet.
Or some close ones today. Cyclones by 1. Kansas coming back. Certainly a respectable year for the Jayhawkers.
Stanford, see that? 33 points.
Never get
Oregon.
that Stanford after being a head coach there out of your system, will you? Good throw.
Catch it.
And a first down for the tight end, Kevin Hickman, inside the 25 of Notre Dame with 9 minutes to go. 14 yards on the play.
Kevin Hickman, Holy Cross High in New Jersey. Greg Luzinski coached.
The baseball slugger of the Philadelphia Phils and Chicago White Sox. Luzinski now coaching football there in New Jersey. That's his pupil. He's got to be proud of that. Not a home run, but a big first down as Navy tries to get on the board. They've been shut out only once since 1984. That was by Notre Dame 2 years ago. Stramanak runs into a pile, breaks away. Boy, look at him fight.
Look at that effort. Navy is playing it one play at a time. They're playing it as though the score is 0-0, and that's just what George Chomp had assumed. That's the Navy spirit, and that gives you hope that the program will be developing because the intensity is there.
He's a native of Scranton, Pennsylvania, is George Chomp. You look at other scores in the Mid-American Conference. Bowling Green rolling along at the top of the MAC. Second and 5. And the give to Billy James, who's inside the 15 and close to another first down. Huntley Bakich, number 1, made the tackle.
That was very well blocked and very well executed.
Mike Miller, who wore number 1 before leaving school, and when he did, Bakich asked that he might have that number, and rumors continue to persist. I guess it's in young Miller's hands himself down in Houston, Texas, as to whether he'll rejoin his former freshman class here at Notre Dame in the second semester. That all the possibilities are open to him. He would not lose. He would lose this year's eligibility, but would be eligible next year. Nothing much there for Stramanak as it's piled up. Boy, Rod Smith, another starter from the secondary, in on the tackle. 20 carries for Stramanak. He leads all rushers today with 82 yards.
Well, they've elevated their game for Notre Dame. Navy has. I can't believe they were playing this well and were 0-7. They've just risen to the occasion. Of course, that's a sort of a cliche, but in this case, it is right on the money.
Spencer, incomplete. It was a forward pass, close to a lateral. Billy James, the intended receiver, and with 6:45, the clock is stopped. 3rd and 9 for Navy.
You know, we haven't seen Brian Ellis or James Kubiak, the freshman. Kubiak, the plebe, is a fine passer, and he played last week, but he wasn't part of the plan this week. And here's a guy that is 6'2", and in practice threw the ball very, very well.
There he is from Buffalo, New York. He's got the best arm by far of any of the Navy quarterbacks. He's part of their future.
St. Francis High School, they must be proud of him. And he's the guy with the size, the range, and the arm that George Chomp will finally make the big part of his offense. Most likely next year, you'll see the pro-style offense from George Chomp, who is expert in the forward pass.
McDonald, Devon McDonald, and Pete Bursich team up on that tackle. Stramanak at the 11-yard line, and it brings up 4th down.
Well, they'll come up with that screen pass, I'd assume.
They're going to call time and talk it over. 6 minutes and 18 seconds left. 31-0 Notre Dame. Back at Notre Dame, and perhaps Navy's last opportunity to avoid the shutout. 4th and 8 at the 11-yard line.
Oh, gee.
Not close.
Not even that. It was a play pass on 4th and 8, and George Chomp, that's all they had available apparently, because gosh darn, why don't you spread the team out and try a slant or something like that? But a play pass on 4th and 8.
Freshman Paul Fela takes over for Rick Mirer at quarterback. A great day for Mirer. Fela, who's a switch-hitting shortstop and an excellent baseball player, will play on the Irish baseball team this spring, is out to the 16-yard line, a gain of almost 5.
Now, here's a guy that Lou Holtz feels is another Rick Mirer, just a semi-generation behind him. He's got the same kinds of ability, and Fela will fill out. He's 6'3", now 185. He'll be 200 pounds next year, and he's got everything it takes to inherit the job.
31-0 Notre Dame. 5.5 minutes left. It's an all second, third string team in on offense. Reggie Brooks stopped right at the line of scrimmage. A solid play by number 99 Steve Sturlitz. He closed the hole. Washington remains unbeaten. Michigan once beaten easy against Purdue today. 6th-ranked Florida just behind Notre Dame, a winner. Alabama having a solid season.
Mississippi State, great job. Look at that Berkeley group.
Boy, that's not been very often in that rivalry that Cal's had those numbers against Southern California. Fela throws. Incomplete to Clint Johnson, and flags go down. It'll be interference against Navy.
Looked like a perfect play to me. Maybe I'm sort of pro-Navy right at the end of this game. I like to see him hold off Notre Dame. But it looked like a good play from the safety spot.
Chad Chatlos, who had the Navy interception in the first half, guilty of the foul. First down Navy out at, or for Notre Dame out across the 35-yard line. The Navy bench certainly didn't like that. Paul Fela goes out, and Kevin McDougal, the sophomore from Pompano Beach, Florida, number 15, is the new quarterback. Mirer, as you look at him, 17 for 23. There are his numbers. His best ever day at Notre Dame, 300 yards plus, 3 touchdowns to give him a record 17 Notre Dame touchdown throws in a season.
Well, it was sure great to see Mirer really have a chance to unleash that athletic ability. His passing day was superb. Navy gave it to him, but he executed.
McDougal is the kind of quarterback that would have run the Navy offense very well. He's an excellent runner. Reggie Brooks could go all the way. One man to beat, and it's going to be Reggie Brooks all the way for 8. No, he stepped out of bounds at the 3, and what a play by Mark Ellis to get to him and bump him off stride enough that he stepped on the sidelines. No touchdown. 65 yards for Reggie Brooks.
It's a foot race at this point. Really tight. It looked like his left foot may have caught, and apparently that's what the officials saw. Very well executed play. And once that commitment was made by Chatlos, it was all over because he was blocked downfield by the pulling guard.
Jordan Holder was the man who made the block for Notre Dame. Yeah, well, I don't know. From that angle, you couldn't see. It was Purifoy, not Ellis, chasing after. Here it is again. Left foot is in. Well, right foot is in from that angle, but
that looked like
there's another.
It's not out yet. Not out yet. No, it looked as though he scored. There's where replay.
Well, they'll probably give it to him here anyway. And he has the touchdown on the shorter rump after a 65-yard gallop set up the 2-yard trot. And it's 37-0 Notre Dame. Second touchdown of the year for Reggie Brooks, the younger brother of Tony, and the junior from Washington High School in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Celebrates a 3-yard touchdown, but his 65-yard run, the longest of his Notre Dame career.
You know, Navy's had a problem all year with people crashing in on them in the second half. And people would say, well, why didn't you make halftime adjustments? What happened to you? The other coach must have gone in at halftime and found a better formula. But basically, it's talent. It's that simple. Navy's team runs very thin talent-wise, and people fatigue, and they get just slowly but surely a battle of attrition. And by the time you get to the fourth quarter, this kind of thing starts to occur. So it's certainly not a reflection on coaching. It's not a reflection on effort.
Notre Dame, about as the odds makers figured, leading 38-0 with 4.5 minutes to go. Again, the wind blowing off the ball at the tee, and so Craig Hentrich will get a little help from LaRon Moore. Billy James and Clavon Smith are back for Navy. And it goes to James at the 16. And he's brought down at the 27-yard line. A look ahead to tomorrow. And what a game on tap after NFL Live at 12:30 at 1 o'clock. Most of you around the country will see 7-1 Houston's Oilers against 8-0 the Washington Redskins. That's our premier game tomorrow. New England will be at Buffalo, Cleveland at Cincinnati. The folks in those local areas will catch that game. And then at 4 o'clock, Miami and the Indianapolis Colts. So join us tomorrow, 12:30. I'll bring you up to date on all the pro football news of the day and of the week with Bob Costas and company. Brian Ellis is the new quarterback for Navy. He throws incomplete and almost intercepted by Greg Lane, number 33. Here's how this game has progressed today. Navy played as they have all their opponents tough early. Only a touchdown in the final seconds gave Notre Dame not a 10-0 lead, but 17-0 at the half, and they've scored 21 in the second half. Navy this year has scored less points in the second half, 20, than Notre Dame has scored in the second half today, 21. You see, they hold their own in the first half, including today, but the second half has just been a miserable 30 minutes for George Chomp and his staff. Play action, and then the fake reverse. And eating it is Brian Ellis, the junior from Morrow, Georgia. Lucky he didn't have that one picked right out of his hand by Notre Dame. Peterson made the tackle.
This is a tough time to call a play like that, because that play might be very effective next week or the week after against Army, and they're down 38-0. So when you try it now, it's almost a waste of time. Of course, you'll try anything. You love to score. But if Notre Dame gets the ball back, they have to look out, because we'll probably see another touchdown. And maybe another Reggie Brooks touchdown. So
even though the Irish undoubtedly will stay on the ground, wouldn't you think?
Now the whole thing is coming unraveled, and we'll probably see another Notre Dame touchdown if they get the ball again.
Ellis underneath, complete to James. And he's tackled at the 31-yard line. Brian Radigan, who has played a lot today, made another stop. Well, we talked about it at the start today. From could have been the lyrics from Man of La Mancha, to dream, the impossible dream for Navy. 0-7 against mighty Notre Dame. But this was their opportunity, and they came here believing that upsets and dreams can happen, but reality certainly has struck, and in the second half, the midshipmen have had to swallow hard. They'll give it away. Back on the punt now is Tom Frosch in to kick it. For 3 on the play clock. Wobbly kick.
This could be
Burris. And Burris takes it straight ahead to the 45 of Notre Dame. 2:29 remaining. And Notre Dame leading 38-0. Back live at Notre Dame, and just seconds ago, this was Lou Holtz furious that one of his players had held on the punt. And wow. In a 38-0 game, Notre Dame leading. Navy gets a first down on the penalty. And here's Billy James breaking a couple of tackles. Nice run, and finally dragged down from behind by Brian Hamilton, a sophomore from Chicago St. Rita High School. Final 2 minutes here at Notre Dame.
Nice run, nice blocking. It was well executed. And again, 38-0, but Navy's playing it one play at a time, and that shows character.
Billy James, 31, is from Chinchilla, Pennsylvania, or Chinchilly, Pennsylvania today. 2nd and 1. Little delay, and James has the first down into Notre Dame territory and down to the 42-yard line. Well, this is a especially tough day for all the folks working here at Notre Dame. Our executive producer, Terry O'Neill. And this game produced by David Michaels. Directed by Andy Rosenberg. Associate Director Doug Grabert. Our production associate Sam Flood. And all the other men and women that fought through the elements today.
I just would like
but how about all the cameramen and the audio people?
Yeah, they're not, I can guarantee you. But that other crew.
Oh, it's toasty down in that truck, no question. Timeout call by Navy. We also want to thank from Notre Dame Jim Daves for his special help here in the booth, and from Navy Greg Rosenstein and Tom Bates, and for all their hospitality at the Academy during the week. Slingshot Ross Schneiderman with all the numbers here, and boy, he's bouncing around here. You'd think that he was going to be a father soon, the way he's acting. He'll be hurrying home. It's a matter of days, maybe minutes for him. Hope all goes well. Wife Valerie. Final minute and a half. Incomplete.
You know,
as Joe Spencer tries to find Billy James.
You know, Dick, I'd like to congratulate Marshall High School in Marshall, Nebraska.
Marshall, Nebraska?
Undefeated football team going to the state finals, 8-man football. When I visited my son in North Platte recently, we dropped over to Marshall and watched practice, met the players, met the coaches.
Well, I bet their eyes were open. Bill Walsh walks out on the field of an 8-man team.
We had a wonderful day with them, and I would just congratulate them for all their success.
Still unbeaten. Brian Ellis at quarterback for Navy. Screen. James caught from behind by Carl McGill, the junior from Clearwater, Florida, number 89. 1:13, the clock running. Navy battling to the final tick of that clock, trying to get on that scoreboard.
Well, George Chomp spoke of the test of the coach and the coaching staff in the athletic department when your team is not doing well, and they've been thoroughly tested. And in a sense, it's a baptism for the coach, because you really find out how effective you are when you don't have quite the talent and you're in against a team like a Notre Dame and some of these other clubs.
Throw is complete to the tight end Tony Gillis, junior from nearby Highland, Indiana. Home state boy back here at South Bend. It's a first down, 37 seconds. Clock stop while they move the chains.
Well,
timeouts are gone for Navy.
No collapsing by Navy. They'd love to get in that end zone.
Hey, the war isn't over until the final gun goes off. There are no white flags out from the midshipmen.
Not at all.
It's been really an incredible week's experience for us visiting the Naval Academy and realizing just what these men represent. And the game in some sorts is symbolic of the spirit, the don't give up the ship.
The men and women both. Some of the gals we met there were as sharp and attractive gals, but more importantly, they're just a big part of the whole program.
Julie Galini is the brigade commander. First time ever a female leading the brigade of midshipmen. With some hope in their eyes on this frigid night, 19-yard line, first down. Ellis gets rid of it. No flag. As pressure put on by Brian Radigan, who's played most of the game, played very well.
Well, Lou Holtz speaks of his young football players are getting all this activity, all this action with all that ability. Is Notre Dame going to have great teams in future years? Where Lou Holtz is obviously one of the great coaches of our time, a fine staff, excellent recruiting, and you combine the Annapolis undergraduates and the Notre Dame undergraduates, you've got quality young people, dedicated young people. It's so impressive.
Up for grabs, intercepted by Sadler, Lashane Sadler, a sophomore from Waterloo, Iowa, and that should do it. Sadler's first ever Notre Dame interception. It appeared that Ellis's arm was struck as he threw the ball, and it popped out there for grabs.
And we saw Michael Davis just walk by the camera. What a sharp young guy Mike is. He's going to be a Marine someday, a Marine officer. And there is number 79 right in front of us. Does a good job of blocking.
That pass going end over end. And Sadler, one of the many sophomores in what Lou Holtz has called his best recruiting class ever, a class that he feels will win a national championship. And Sadler, just one of many, especially on the defensive side of the ball. The future is indeed, or continues to be, bright for Notre Dame. And for Navy, well, it can only go one way for the midshipmen. This will be 8 straight. And for Notre Dame, somewhat a momentous win, 700th. This is the 700th football win for Notre Dame. Only University of Michigan has more. Final seconds tick away, and today's Chevrolet players of the game will announce those as George Chomp comes over to talk to his old coaching buddy for Notre Dame, Rick Mirer, with his best ever passing day and leading Navy in tackles with 14, Chris Beck. In conjunction with this program, Chevrolet will contribute $2,000 to the National Association of Student Financial Aid Administrators for disbursement to deserving college students so they may continue their education. For Bill Walsh and John Dockery, Dick Enverts, stay tuned tonight to NBC. Some of the funniest comedies on television: Golden Girls, Torkelson's, Empty Nest, with special country superstar Garth Brooks and its nurses, followed by Sisters, all new comedy and drama. Tonight on NBC. From South Bend, Indiana, so long. We'll see you against Tennessee next week.